One thing that I know for sure is that if you want to understand love, you should probably read Jane Austen. Specifically Austen's debut novel, Sense and Sensibility. I was first introduced to this story when, over the summer, Netflix suggested that I watch the movie version of it, and I fell so in love with the story that I decided I would sit down and read the actual novel. Now, Sense and Sensibility pretty much goes like this. You have two sisters. You have Eleanor, who is quiet, bookish, and sensible, or as we would say, logical. And you have Marianne, who is way more outgoing. She plays the piano, and she's much more inclined to the temptations brought on by her extremely strong sensibilities, or her feelings, hence the title. Now, Eleanor falls in love with this guy Edward, and Marianne falls in love with Willoughby, but Willoughby doesn't love Marianne, and Edward is already engaged. So Edward gets dumped by his fiancée and declares his affections for Eleanor, and Marianne ends up with this Colonel guy. Now, there's this one poignant scene towards the beginning of the novel where Marianne forces Edward to read Shakespeare aloud with her and becomes very frustrated with how boring he reads it. Now, Eleanor, on the other hand, sees no problem with this. She understands that even though Edward's reading was dry and unexciting, he was putting himself out there and he was being vulnerable. And one of the scariest parts about love is the vulnerability that comes along with it. When you're standing there talking to that one person and your stomach is full of butterflies and your heart rate is speeding up, you might as well be standing there without any pants on. However, putting yourself into that nerve-wracking state is the only way that you will get to that place of absolute bliss, that is being with that one person that lights up your entire world. Now, Eleanor Dashwood knows all about this state of vulnerability, because for the longest time she feels like she cannot express how she truly feels about Edward, and feels that sometimes she cannot express her feelings because she can find no language in which to describe them. She feels so overwhelmed by her emotions that she cannot find any words that could ever be possibly sufficient. And however romantic that may sound, to be so in love that you cannot speak, that's not what love is. I know for sure that love is you must find some words when you have none. You have to step out of your comfy little box and do something about it. Love is about saying what you feel, and it's about being vulnerable. And Edward and Eleanor, they see this. Edward in particular knows that if he never takes that walk up to Eleanor's house at the end of the novel and declare his affections for her and tell her that his heart is and always will be hers, she'll never be his wife. And the two of them quite literally live happily ever after because they step out of their boxes and into a new box, one that provided them with more happiness than either of them could possibly imagine. So, what does an almost 200-year-old novel still have to say about my life today? Well, I find myself a lot of times being a lot like Eleanor, and stepping out of my comfy little box is one of the worst things that I should ever imagine. However, I've come to a new resolution. Love means saying what you feel and saying that I love you and I want to be with you all the time and I miss you when we're not together. And finding that right person will make you want to do that. They won't make you feel afraid, they'll make you feel safe. And if Edward and Eleanor can find that, why can't I?